Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I am Kristen Fletcher, the lead of the Naval Postgraduate School's Climate and Security Network, and I'm honored to be your MC for today's signing ceremony. We are gathered in this beautiful setting to celebrate a new education partnership agreement with the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability, marking a new chapter in the distinguished history and collaboration of our two institutions. Through education, research, and innovation, we will explore and address the increasing challenges of global climate change, energy security, and sustainability, which together are defining issues facing our U.S. Navy, our nation, and the world. We are very pleased to have with us today the 78th Secretary of the Navy, Carlos Del Toro, who is joined by our President of the Naval Postgraduate School, Vice Admiral Retired Anne Rondeau, and the Dean of the Doerr School, Dr. Arun Majumdar. We also would like to thank our media guests for joining. You're a critical part of helping us capture and communicate this moment. And to all of you present, we know you have a lot of demands on your time, especially this time of year, and we greatly appreciate your being with us. We chose this location, the International Garden on the campus of the Naval Postgraduate School, because it symbolizes the global challenge before us and reminds us that we cannot do this alone. Addressing climate change and its impacts takes partnerships across academia, industry, the military, and government, both here and internationally. This partnership with Stanford leverages and complements our respective strengths in a region that is the hub of technological innovation in the world and a living laboratory for climate and sustainability solutions. At this time, I invite our two principal signatories, NPS President Rondeau and Dean Majumdar, to offer their brief remarks, followed by Secretary Del Toro.
Thank you, Dr. Fletcher. And let me also add my welcome to all of you who are here, to not only the citizens of this great area and peninsula, but also to my own NPS leadership, and of course to our Stanford friends. On behalf of all of Naval Postgraduate School and Provost Gardner, I want to thank you for your leadership and your support on this very important and new education partnership agreement, an institution-to-institution partnership. It's an important affirmation of the power of education and research and partnership that, when combined, the talent and the innovation and the brilliance of our two institutions and our students and our practitioners and our researchers, that can be a catalyst for climate action and solutions. The Secretary of the Navy has been very clear. He has identified climate change as one of the most destabilizing forces of our time. The Navy's climate strategy under his leadership, Climate Action 2030, underlines the importance of leveraging and empowering the education of sailors and Marines to meet the challenges of climate and energy security, to meet, and with all of that, with sustainability of climate through knowledge and innovation. Under this cooperative agreement and effort, Naval Postgraduate School, Warrior Scholar students, and defense faculty will have the unique opportunity to learn and work alongside our Stanford counterparts in pursuit of joint research solutions to climate change and its impacts. This agreement serves as a gateway for NPS and the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability to establish cooperative education opportunities, collaborate, and work alongside, side by side, on larger strategic initiatives aimed to address climate and energy security issues while leveraging the strengths of two globally recognized academic centers. The Department of the Navy and Stanford, through NPS and the Doerr School, are committed to expanding their collective understanding and actions in order to address climate change and mitigate its impact through education, empowerment, creativity, innovation, and growth of America's and the world's future leaders. As Secretary Del Toro has stated in the past, climate readiness is an element of mission readiness. Thank you again for being here, and now I would like to turn over the podium to my new friend, Dr. Arun Majumdar, Dean of the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability, to be followed by Mr. Del Toro.
Thank you very much for your opening remarks, President Rondeau. And I just want to thank all of you here today to commemorate this partnership between Stanford University and Naval Postgraduate School. On behalf of the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability, I want to thank Honorable Carlos Del Toro, Secretary of the Navy, Vice Admiral Retired Anne Rondeau, President of the Naval Postgraduate School, and for your support and partnership. I also want to thank the faculty, staff, and students from our institutions today who are here today. And I want to take this occasion to introduce my colleague, Professor Karen Casciotti, and also Amy Adams over there in green, for coming here, because this is really about all of you. This is about, you will form the bedrock of this partnership. Thank you for being here at the forefront of creating solutions for a livable and sustainable planet, now and for the future. As some of you may know, the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability formally launched this past September as the first new school Stanford has launched in 75 years. But while our formal timeline doesn't quite reach 4 months yet, we're still within the 4 months in this quarter, we are part of a legacy of scholarship and learning going back decades, even to the founding of Stanford 137 years ago. With this agreement signed today, we add to this legacy, and we do it in service of humanity's most pressing challenge. We are here today to lock our arms together and make a pledge. Our pledge is to use all the powers we have, the knowledge, the education, the talent, the innovation, the resources, the solutions, the influence to address the defining issue of the 21st century, climate change and sustainability. In the immortal words of Reverend Martin Luther King, we need to do so with the fierce urgency of now. I hope you will permit me to use an old naval phrase, all hands on deck. The agreement we signed today acknowledges the fact this enormous challenge cannot be tackled by a single institution. We need to build strong and active partnerships across sectors and across disciplines. Regardless of our field of study, whether we work in academia or government or industry or nonprofit, it's all hands on deck. We are here today to recognize and embrace this moment of partnership. Thank you again for establishing this partnership and for commemorating this occasion. It is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Secretary to share your remarks.
Thank you.
You know, Dean, the only way you could have ended that speech any better was if you ended it by saying, full speed ahead. Mr. Secretary, Madam President, Dean, thank you so much for inviting me here today. I can't begin to tell you how thrilled I am today. It's been a marvelous day. I woke up this morning at 5 in the morning. It was 20 degrees in Washington, D.C. There was raining ice. Got in my plane. I flew to San Diego. Met with surface warriors on one of our destroyers. Met with surface warriors that were learning how to drive ships. And then here I am in beautiful Naval Postgraduate School, my alma mater. There's no wonder why Secretary Panetta is always smiling every time I see him. Thank you for inviting me. One of my top priorities as Secretary of the Navy is indeed enhancing our strategic partnerships. Today we are operationalizing that priority through this agreement, this historic agreement, linking two great institutions in a common cause for our nation and for our world. Climate change is an existential threat, demanding the best thinking and efforts of all our people. Within the Department of the Navy, we are taking action to prepare our shore facilities for rising sea levels and other threats. We are ensuring that our operational forces and platforms continue to be able to fight and win around the world in changing and more challenging environments that we face today. We're adopting, we are preparing, and we are doing our part to reduce our emissions. But we know that that's simply not enough. In order to meet our sacred obligation to protect the people of the United States, we must also lead. And that is why earlier this year I released Climate Action 2030, the Department of the Navy's comprehensive strategy to build a climate-ready force and reduce our contribution to the harmful effects of climate change. We have committed our scientists and our researchers to collaborate with colleagues around the world to advance climate data, improve resilience, and bring about transformation low-carbon technologies which are desperately needed. We reached a milestone earlier this year when the Marine Corps Logistics Base in Albany, Georgia, became the department's first net zero energy base. That means that it generates as much energy as it actually uses it. Marine Corps Logistics Base Albany achieved this by working with partners from the private sector, utilities, and the local county. And we are working hand in hand with academia, industry, and communities and allies to meet the nation's commitment to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Our strategy recognizes that climate readiness and mission readiness go hand in hand, as the President said earlier. Remaining the world's preeminent naval power while building a climate-ready force is a national security and warfighting imperative. Embracing transformational low-carbon technologies increases our agility, our persistence, and lethality. Similarly, building climate-resilient facilities strengthens our force. Our Climate Action 2030 strategy calls on us to build climate resilience, readiness, and awareness into our security cooperation and planning. It demands that we work together with our partners and allies in the United States and around the world, showing global leadership against the global crisis. This Department of the Navy is taking on the urgency of the climate crisis and harnessing our power to lead and affect change. That is why we are here today. This educational partnership agreement between NPS and Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability is an example of two premier institutions coming together for the benefit of all. In military terms, this is a true force multiplier in the existential battle against climate change. We are counting on your utmost efforts in this generational challenge. As such, through the Office of Naval Research, we will accelerate our investments in the advanced science and technology research happening right here at NPS. And it is my privilege to announce that early next year, the Department of the Navy will convene our second climate-focused tabletop exercise. We will leverage the partnership between the Naval Postgraduate School and the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability to help us assess common vulnerabilities as well as opportunities that we can harness together. We will continue to invest, to plan, to question, and to act, leveraging the finest minds available to confront the global challenges that we all face. So thank you for this marvelous partnership. I'm confident it will lead to many good things, and I wish you a happy holidays and a very happy new year. Mr. Secretary, would you mind coming to the podium and saying a few words, sir?
Well, this is a wonderful ceremony. It's wonderful because it brings together two great institutions, the Navy Postgraduate School and Stanford University, in an effort to really multiply the knowledge and the dedication and the effort of both towards trying to deal with the problems that we have to confront and can't ignore. For too long, we've looked in the other direction. And we found just over this past year how real climate change is, particularly for those of us in California who've had to face the threat of wildfires and now the threat of a 100-year drought and all of the other consequences that are resulting from climate change across this country and across the world. we have to respond. We have an obligation to respond. And it is, I think, appropriate that the leaders of these two institutions set an example for other institutions, and set an example for those who are part of academic America, that we have a responsibility not just to teach young people, but to develop a new generation of leaders who understand the challenges that we face and have the courage and the will to deal with those challenges. So I think today, Mr. Secretary, marks a very important threshold, a threshold in which two great institutions have said we are going to work together to find solutions to saving our planet and saving humanity. What greater task could there be than the one to make sure that life is sustained on Earth and throughout the world? Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for your day.
Thank you all for your moving comments. Yeah, I'm going to invite each of you to sit at the signing table with Mr. Secretary in the middle. The NPS President and Doerr School Dean will each sign the Education Partnership Agreement, and then after that, the Secretary will join them to sign our commemorative graphic for the agreement. So on the table, there are two official copies of the Education Partnership Agreement between the Naval Postgraduate School and the Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability. Madam President and Dean, please sign your copies and exchange with each other. We'll get a full signed copy of each. December 15th, yes. Wonderful, thank you both. And we now invite all of you to sign the commemorative graphic. Mr. Secretary, if you would please go first. And President Rondeau. And finally, Dean Majumdar. Great. So I invite you to stand for some group photos. And in the first one, I'm going to ask the Dean and the President to please hold your educational partnership agreements. And Mr. Secretary, if you would hold up the commemorative graphic. Yeah. Fantastic.